Welcome back to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. Your co-host here, Pat Curran, joined with me as always, Brad and Josh in the studio, and we got another episode ahead of you today for the Week 2 preview. We're going to be breaking down the matches happening in Week 2 all the way through Monday Night Football. We're recording this during the Thursday night game, so we'll break down that as it's happening.
All right.
Josh, how you doing over there?
Doing great. Ready to get into this preview. How about you guys?
So excited. So fired up. I got some great matchups, thanks to Josh, to break down and hopefully go 0-2 now.
Yeah, I think you will.
No, we should start doing a pick'em here on the show and keep a season-long tally.
Well, I'd probably win that, so.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, I picked the Bengals tonight. And
I also picked the Saints to win.
See, it's one game. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I didn't pick them to win last week.
Let's see if we get burned this week with our predictions.
I'm ready to go.
All right. Quick shout out to Blue Spade Productions for all they do for listener interaction and social media marketing. Check them out on Twitter at Blue Spade Pro. And before we get into these Week 2 previews, we're going to skip reports and rumors, and we're just going to get into them when we break down these games. From all of us here at Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast, just want to give our thoughts and prayers out to the North Carolina and South Carolina coastline as they're getting hit with Hurricane Florence right now. So we are thinking of them. There are things bigger than sports, and we know that. And hopefully everyone comes out safe and sound and gets back on their feet.
Very nice. Very nice touch.
Yeah, I thought so.
All
All right, Josh, what's the first one we're doing?
All right, so I'll go ahead and just start with mine. I'm going to do the Colts and Redskins. Super fun, right? All right, so there's obviously some stuff that you want to do here and some things that you don't want to do. You're probably going to start both quarterbacks in this matchup. That's easy. Start them. Andrew Luck and Alex Smith. No big deal. Now, your running backs, that's a little bit of a different story. We are not going to go anywhere near the Indianapolis backfield. Marlon Mack's banged up. Jordan Wilkins kind of underperformed a little bit last week, and so Nyheim Hines was a pass catcher, but he fumbles a lot in the preseason. We kind of have to avoid that. Now, Adrian Peterson, that's the interesting thing. Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson. I'm starting them, and I'm going to start them both, and I'm going to tell you why. Chris Thompson still has a very clear-cut role in this offense, and they want to run the ball, and Alex Smith doesn't throw to receivers. Weird, right? So that hasn't changed. So Chris Thompson's going to catch those passes, and Adrian Peterson's going to run it until he can run no more. So I would start both of those guys. Now, in the wide receivers, after looking over this game, there was really only one wide receiver I could see me starting, and that was T.Y. Hilton. I'm going to stay away from all the Washington guys. I know that Ryan Grant got a little bit of love for Andrew Luck. I still don't advise starting him just yet. I don't think that he's going to throw over 50 passes in this game. I don't think that they'll need to. So Ryan Grant, I think he was just a product of getting a lot of volume. So I'm holding off on that. Just T.Y. Hilton. Now, tight ends. You're going to start Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed's healthy. You're going to start Jordan Reed. Pretty straightforward on that. Now, the Indianapolis guys. Is it Eric Ebron or is it Jack Doyle?
It's Jack Doyle. Easy. Hands down, Jack Doyle.
I agree. I 100% agree.
But Ebron got the touchdown last week.
I understand that, but Andrew Luck loves him some Jack Doyle. We know that Eric Ebron is the more talented guy. He's obviously the guy who's more athletic than Jack Doyle. He's got bigger hands, which is also very important. But can he catch with those hands? Sometimes.
So if you want to look at Eric Ebron, you can look like a Dwayne Allen. If you remember him, every year he played with Andy Luck, caught a touchdown pass first game of the season every year, and then was never relevant again the rest of the year.
Okay.
Fantasy.
Exactly. And that's honestly why I'm going to Jack Doyle. It's tried and true with Andrew Luck. Even without Andrew Luck, Jack Doyle was a tight end one. So he's the guy I'm going to start. And these defenses, I'm staying away from both these defenses. Indy's defense is horrible, and I think that Andrew Luck is going to light up this Washington defense. So there you go.
I disagree. I think you can string the Redskins defense this week. Andy Luck always turns the ball over. Set your clocks.
Oh, okay, we'll see. I don't think you should go anywhere near the Redskins defense. Now, we'll pass it over to you guys. And Brad, or Pat, what's your first game that you got on your docket, sir?
All right, I got Texans at Titans. So I'll break down the injury report here. Will Fuller is questionable. And then we got DeAndre Hopkins also limited in practice. He's going into this game questionable. Now, it's only Thursday night, and this game is Sunday afternoon. So there's time for both those guys to get back to full health. Deshaun Watson coming off just an absolute terrible week 1 performance. Sorry, Josh, but it's true.
It's okay.
I look for him to bounce back against this Tennessee defense, especially this Tennessee defense that just lost to Miami. So.
They did.
Lamar Miller, you can start him. DeAndre Hopkins, you can start him. You're obviously going to start Deshaun Watson because you probably spent a higher draft pick than you should have on the quarterback. So those 3 your start. Unfortunately, Deontay Foreman is still on the PUP list, which makes Alfred Blue relatively relevant if you're in a deeper league and you don't have a lot of running backs, because you went ahead and drafted all the wide receivers because someone else in your league drafted all the running backs.
Did you say relatively irrelevant or relevant?
Relatively relative.
Oh.
Or relevant. I want relevant.
What are we talking about?
And Bruce Ellington over Sammy Coates if you're in a deep league and you need a receiver. He was targeted a lot in week 1.
That's Spelunking with Pat. Spelunking with Pat.
Going down deep. Hey, you gotta cover them all. You can't just cover the starters.
You can't just cover
the weather should be
like.
good. It should be about 85 degrees and sunny. And for the Titans side, we got Corey Davis, who is questionable. And he's kind of battling that leg.
This podcast is questionable.
The weather's important.
No.
Obviously, Delaney Walker is put on the injured reserve. 4 offensive linemen are questionable going into this game, including their big one, Conklin. So that's going to affect Tennessee's running game.
That's a huge deal.
And Mariota, questionable, but the team is optimistic about the playing chances, which means Mariota is going to start. I don't think they're going to start playing Gabbert. And if they do, fire up Houston's defense. Start them everywhere.
Whew.
You got Deion Lewis and Derrick Henry. Definitely start Deion Lewis this week. Derrick Henry. Yeah, I mean, I like Lewis better than Henry.
I agree.
But if you have a flex option and you don't have a better wide receiver on your bench, then you can fire up Derrick Henry. Hopefully Corey Davis is back in action. If not, maybe search the waiver wire. Rashard Matthews might be out there, but I don't think he got 1 reception in week 1.
He did not.
And then to replace Delaney Walker, they have Jonnu Smith. Hopefully you can find a better tight end out there on the waiver wire.
I picked him up in our dynasty league. I believe in him. I'm not going to start him.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. You're not starting that guy. That's it. That's a breakdown. That's relevance for the Texans and Titans. I would fire up the Texans defense. Maybe not the Titans, because I think the Texans are going to have a bounce back week.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think Will Fuller is going to play? Do you think he's going to be there?
Is he in or out?
He's questionable.
Make a decision.
Yeah, he'll play.
Oh, there it is from Pat.
Ooh, spelunking.
No, I think with Will Fuller there, Deshaun Watson's a lot better. So I'm going to jump into my team. Browns at the Saints. If this is anything like last week, it's going to be a shootout, right? Saints defense was terrible against Tampa Bay.
Just a little rust.
But we got the Browns. So Josh Gordon officially named a starter. Hugh Jackson, I mean, he played 62 of the 69 snaps, so I think he was a starter last year. But whatever, he actually gets a tag. I think this could be a bounce back week for Josh Gordon. Getting more involved, some better weather, playing in the dome, obviously, so you don't have to actually worry about weather. So Josh Gordon's there. Then we look at the rest of the Browns, right? Carlos Hyde. The problem with Carlos Hyde, I think, is that the Saints are going to get up fast. And then I worry about Duke Johnson taking over more of a role because they're in a pass-first offense. But I still think you can start Carlos Hyde this week, but you might want to be a little wary if you have something better on your bench. Maybe go ahead and go fire it up. With the rest of them, Jarvis Landry, easy, breezy, right? It's Jarvis Landry.
Beautiful cover girl.
Yup. Tyrod Taylor could be a sneaky quarterback this week.
Ooh.
He was a top 10 quarterback last week when you count his legs, and he didn't even throw the ball well at all last week.
Yeah, it was awful.
But he was still a top 10 quarterback. So this week, if the Saints defense doesn't improve from what they did last week, I mean, I guess they can't get worse, but Tyrod Taylor, streaming option.
Stream it.
Stream it. Let's roll over to the Saints, though. So this week it was a little scary. Michael Thomas and Ted Ginn were both on the injury report, right? Missing practice. Michael Thomas was because of illness. He was back at practice today, so should be a full go on Sunday. No, nothing to worry about there. Drew Brees, easy. Ted Ginn could be another sneaky pick, though. We saw Juju light up this Browns defense last week. It was a good play last week with a bad quarterback play. So Ted Ginn at home, he's fast.
He's so fast.
There it was. Queuing it up. Alvin Kamara, number 1 running back for the week. I mean, we saw what James Conner did, and he's a backup. So Alvin Kamara, easy. I don't think you have to worry about any other running back. I want to see if the Saints can actually run the ball, though, actually be efficient on the ground in a game script that should be more conducive to that. You think you guys want to add there?
No, actually, I think that they're going to struggle on the ground again. I think with Cleveland's got a good front four, and their linebackers are really starting to come into their own. I think that the Saints will continue to struggle to run the ball
until they get Ingram back off suspension.
Yes.
Alabama running backs, right, Josh?
Well, Mark Ingram's a darn good one. I mean, I will say that. So, all right. So next on the docket, I have the Lions in
Hold
Florida.
on, you didn't even talk about Ben Watson.
What about him?
Hey, he may be a streaming option for Delaney Walker replacements.
I completely disagree with that, but hey, you know what? Spelunking with Pat. I'm never going to get over that. Anyway, all right, so Jimmy Garoppolo, Mr. Beautiful himself, the 49ers and the Lions, Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm looking for him to have a nice bounce-back game this week. I think he's actually going to throw multiple touchdowns. Yeah, multiple touchdowns. You know why? Because Sam Darnold and the Jets destroyed this Lions defense. Well, I mean, they got destroyed in all 3 phases of the game, but Jimmy Garoppolo is going to bounce back, and the guy that he's going to be throwing to is George Kittle. George Kittle, I think, will be the biggest beneficiary of this. Right now, Marquise Goodwin's banged up, but it looks like he will go. If he's there, you got to start him. You have to start him because I think that
Dante Pettis.
So actually, it's good that you brought that up because it looked like Pierre Garçon looks like he's starting to show his age. I don't think he has a great connection with Jimmy Garoppolo. Dante Pettis was the guy who benefited last week, and I think that he'll benefit greatly this week. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 1 or 2, but I think he'll be a good flex option. Your running backs, Alfred Morris and Matt Breida. Well, outside of last week, really, Chris Ivory broke a big one. Isaiah Crowell, Chris Ivory, same guy. Isaiah Crowell broke a big one on the Lions defense, but it wasn't one of those things that I think they just kind of quit. I don't really like either one of the running backs this week. Matt Breida and Alfred Morris Matt Breida got some passes thrown his way, but neither one of them really looked impressive yet. I think if I had to start one in a vacuum, I would still go with Alfred Morris. But I don't feel good about it. But like I said, if Marquise Goodwin isn't there, I think Dante Pettis will benefit, and George Kittle certainly will benefit. Now, on the Lions side of the ball, I'm also picking Matt Stafford to have a nice bounce-back game. He was awful on Monday Night Football. Just disgusting. He was a complete bum. 4 interceptions, and then he got relieved early in the night, or in the fourth quarter. He's going to bounce back. He's going to have a great game. Now, the running backs, you can't start any of these Detroit running backs. Stay away from them. Now, the receivers. So I've thought a lot about this, and I think the receiver who's going to actually have the worst out of these 3, the worst game, will be Marvin Jones. I believe that the changing of the guard is happening, and I believe that Kenny Golladay is going to be their wide receiver 2. Golden Tate's still going to do what Golden Tate does. He's going to get open. He's going to have catches. He might have a touchdown, but he's going to be involved in the offense heavily. You have to start Golden Tate. He's going to put up wide receiver 2 numbers easily. But Kenny Golladay is that wild card. I think that he's better than Marvin Jones in this matchup. And as far as the defenses go, I feel better about the Niners than I do the Lions. But I mean, they did slow down the Vikings there towards the end of the game, but it wasn't great. I would look for a better option, personally, than either one of these defenses.
What about those Detroit backs?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not starting either one of them. The backfield is too muddy right now. I know LeGarrette Blount is hurt. He probably won't be in the game, but I think that they're going to activate Amir Abdullah for whatever reason. He's still on the team. And even though Carrion is clearly the most talented and the best running back there, the Detroit coaches appear that to just keep easing him along. He's the far superior running back.
And did you pick a Niners running back?
Yeah, I said Alfred Morris.
Alfred Morris over
Breida.
I don't know. I think the Lions defense isn't going to be as bad as it was last week. I think that was a lot of turnovers. They got tired. They got worn out. Sam Darnold didn't look that great. Let's get that straight. He had one good pass.
He only had 5 incompletions.
Yeah, but it wasn't great.
He threw 24 passes and 5 of them.
Yeah, what was the first one? What was the first one?
That's his first NFL pass. He's a rookie.
Yeah, exactly. He's a
Jimmy
rookie.
Garoppolo is better than Sam.
So now
Darnold.
people have, but okay.
I don't even want to have this argument.
Whatever.
It's like talking to a wall.
I know.
Pat, get me out of here, please.
Okay.
You know why Stafford struggled last week?
Why?
Because he was going against Bust a Screen for the New York Jets. And that's the game we're going to talk about now, the Dolphins versus the Jets. Jets coming off that big Monday Night Football win against Detroit Lions. Lost train of thought. But now they're facing the Dolphins at home. And yes, I have a weather report there. It should be good, about 80 degrees. Nice and sunny at 1 p.m. start time. No real injuries to report. No relevant fantasy football relevant injuries to report from this game. So we'll get right into it. Dolphins, Ryan Tannehill. Threw 2 touchdowns, threw 2 picks. Versus a Tennessee defense that isn't very intimidating. And they still pulled out the win. A lot of that was, though, because Mariota was hurt and he was out of the game. So was it really the Dolphins winning, or was it just Tennessee kind of stalling there at the end? Also, not to mention that game was like 8 hours long because of the weather delay. So a lot of factors into the reason the Dolphins got a week 1 win. Frank Gore had a better game than Kenyon Drake. How did that happen?
He had a better game rushing the ball, but it was very apparent they still want Drake involved.
Yeah, they still want Drake involved. Are you going Drake or are you going Frank Gore? I'm going Kenyon Drake because I think the Dolphins will play from behind because I do think this Jets defense is actually pretty good.
Oh, okay.
So
stepping out on a limb.
No, I think it's a good defense.
I'm Patrick Curran.
So you got Kenny Stills, who had a big game, and then you get Devontae Parker, who's probably the most talented receiver on the Dolphins team, but he just never really shows it. And then you get Danny Amendola there, who's trying to replace Jarvis Landry, but he's a poor man's Jarvis Landry. So if you're starting Danny Amendola, you have really poor depth at wide receiver. But start Kenny Drake. I'd throw Kenny Stills in the flex. And if you're streaming a quarterback, I think there's better ones to stream out there other than Ryan Tannehill. Like, for example, maybe a Sam Darnold. Maybe cue him up. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Okay.
No? You guys are a fan of the rookie?
No, not yet.
All right. Not yet.
Not yet.
You want to see a little more, and that's fine. That's understandable. And then Isaiah Crowell had a game last week. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of the Jets had just an out-of-their-mind game when they went into Detroit and beat them on Monday Night Football. And then Quincy Enunwa was proved to be the number 1 wide receiver for New York on week 1.
Love him.
You got to cue him up?
I'm going to start him this week. 100% going to start him this week.
All right.
In my
What
flex
about Robbie
spot.
Anderson?
Nope. I will stay away from Robbie Anderson.
All right, so you're going for Quincy, but not Robbie.
Yes, and I have my reasons.
All right.
I'll let you give yours, and then I'll tell you mine.
No, I like Quincy Enunwa. I do.
Okay.
I like him in a starting role, but I'm not afraid to stay away from Robbie Anderson.
So he had 1 catch last week for 43 yards and a touchdown. That's because Sam Darnold isn't going to throw deep. You know what Josh McCown does well? He throws the ball deep. You know what Robbie Anderson does well? He catches the ball on deep passes. Sam Darnold did do that in college a lot, but he's a rookie quarterback, and he's not quite there yet. I think, if anything, I'd actually be looking to sell Robbie Anderson right now.
Oh, that's an interesting take. Brad, you want to add anything to that?
So the thing you got to watch out with Miami is their young corner, Xavier Howard, right, is becoming one of the better corners in the league. So if he's on Robbie Anderson all game, it's going to really hinder Robbie Anderson because they're not going to go that way. They're going to stay away from him. The Jets are going to be smart with Sam Darnold. Jumping into my game already. But they're going to get ready for, keep him, try not to ruin his confidence this early. This is their quarterback. They've made the decision, and they're going to stick with it, and they don't want to destroy his confidence in the second week of the season.
Yep. He's a baby.
Miami fans, you better be watching out for Buster Screen. That's all I got. Cue up the Jets defense.
All right, so let's go into Chargers at the Bills, right? So we're just going to start with the Bills, right? Because there's so much to talk about there. Josh Allen's getting the start?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah. So does this mean that Kelvin Benjamin becomes a play?
No.
I mean, he's a better quarterback option than what they threw out there last week.
Doesn't mean that.
So I actually heard that the Chargers were disappointed because they actually were the team that gave Nathan Peterman his nickname, 5-pick Peterman. And they were a little disappointed. So the really only Bill that's fantasy relevant is LaShawn McCoy, right? Are you still starting him, Josh?
Actually, I am not.
You're not starting him this week. And I actually think that's really smart because we saw what the Chargers defense did to Kareem Hunt last week. And this week, with Shady McCoy being the only really option they have there, Kelvin Benjamin may fall in the end zone once because I do think that they're going to be coming from behind a lot and having to try to throw the ball. And then, let's be honest, the Bills aren't a good team right now. So Chargers defense of the week, I think it is. Yeah. I think Josh Allen's going to throw a bunch of picks.
I don't know if he'll throw a bunch.
He's going to rely on his strong arm, and I think it's going to get him in trouble with that safety over the top. Yeah. So then we roll into the rest of the Chargers, right? So Phillip Rivers, easy start. Melvin Gordon, easy start. Keenan Allen, easy start. The one I want to talk about, Austin Eckler.
Woo!
So Austin Eckler had an amazing game last week, right?
He did.
And did you hear what Phillip Rivers called him?
Nope.
He said he's going to be our Darren Sproles. And if you guys remember when Darren Sproles was on the Chargers, they used him a lot out of the backfield. They ran a lot of screens, and he was their passing down guy. And this week, I think if they get up a lot, we can see what Baltimore did last week, where they rest their starting players and start letting some other people get some work. Maybe Austin Eckler does get 10 carries now. Austin Eckler with 10 carries, that's going to hurt your Melvin Gordon's, but Austin Eckler could be an okay play. If you're rolling him out there again, might as well, right?
Fire him up.
Mike Williams had a decent stat line last week. I think we saw that Travis Benjamin can't catch the ball.
Oh.
And Tyrell Williams dropped a few passes too. So I think Phillip Rivers is starting to lose a little faith in them. So I think he's going to go to Mike Williams, let the second-year guy kind of show what he can do. And he does. He is a mismatch on every DB he's on. He towers over him. He's a huge, big guy out there right now. So.
Huge.
So that's my take on the Chargers. Start all your Chargers. Bench all your Bills. Chargers defense of the week. I called the Ravens last week. This is going to be a theme for me. Whoever the Bills are playing pretty much starts that defense.
I want to give a quick update. We got a game, 28-23 now.
Yeah, and Joe Mixon left again.
Yeah, so super bummed out about that. All right. So our next game, Raiders and Broncos. This one's going to be pretty straightforward. Are there any Raiders I feel good about? Yes.
Yes. Jordy?
No, it is not Jordy. There's one Raider in particular I feel good about, and that's because he was real hot last week. I think you got to just stay with the hot hand. He was probably a hot waiver wire pickup, Mr. Jared Cook. If you picked him up, you're going to start him because it was very obvious that that's who Derek Carr was looking at. I'm not starting Derek Carr. Marshawn Lynch is banged up right now, and I'm not going anywhere near Doug Martin if he's healthy. Jalen Richard might get some of the passing down work, and that's who he is in this offense, but none of these running backs look great to me. Now, keep an eye on Marshawn Lynch, but this Denver defense is good. They're, real good. So outside of Jared Cook, I'm not really interested in a lot of these guys. Now, on the other side of the ball, Mr. Case Keenum, yeah, I'll start him. Great streamer pick. Now, the running back situation, that's a little bit different. You invested some draft capital in Royce Freeman. Phillip Lindsay was one of the hot waiver wire pickups. If I have to pick one of them, it would be Royce Freeman. But they said that they're going to do the same thing. They're going to ride the hot hand. I think both guys are going to continue to be involved until one emerges. And It just depends on the game flow, but Royce Freeman is going to be the guy. He just might not be the guy yet. So if you have to pick one, Royce Freeman, but if you have better options, I would kind of stay away from this backfield a little bit until it becomes a little clearer. Emmanuel Sanders, you're going to start. Demaryius Thomas, you're going to start. And, of course, that beautiful Broncos defense. You're going to start them for sure because these Raiders, they're not good. They're super old, and they're not good, Pat.
Amari Cooper's pretty good.
Yeah, how good was he last week on Monday? Did he have any catches?
He's warming up.
Just warming up? He's been warming up for over a year now? Because
Got to move him all over formation.
So John Gruden did say that they're going to move him all over the formation. They brought Martavis Bryant back. Am I going to start Martavis Bryant? No. I want nothing to do with this Oakland offense. Okay? They're gross. And we have Jordy in our podcast league, and I really regret it. But we did it for you. It's pretty much
Have
just
patience.
Yeah, well, that's what all I was going to make a joke about they're all patients for doctors because they're so old, but we'll just go ahead. Anyway, all right. So next game. Pat, what you got?
Nice joke there, Josh. I got Eagles versus the Bucks. And it's going to be hot down in Tampa. It's going to be about 90 degrees, but it's going to be a nice, clear, sunny sky at Raymond James Stadium. Got an injury report here. Sproles going into this game is questionable, but you can queue him up if you have him as a flex spot. Alshon Jeffrey still doubtful, battling that shoulder injury, and Carson Wentz doubtful and with that knee injury still. Taking their time bringing back Carson Wentz, so they're going to start Nick Foles. Hopefully you don't have to start Nick Foles in your lineup, even against the Bucs defense, which gave up plenty of points to the Saints and a lot of big fantasy numbers. But let's just hope you don't have to start Nick Foles. You have a better option there at quarterback. Jay Ajayi had a pretty good week last week. However, it was because of those 2 touchdowns. Really, he only had 15 carries and 62 yards. So you take away those 2 touchdowns, it's a pretty subpar week. You want something more out of your running backs or your flex position, depending on where you're starting them. Zach Ertz had 5 receptions for 48 yards. And Nelson Aguilar had a pretty decent week. He had 8 receptions for 33 yards last week. I would go ahead and start Ajayi, Ertz, and Aguilar if I had to pick 3. What's up?
Just keep going. He sent me a meme of Ollie from Family Guy. It's going to rain! That's you doing game previews.
Listen, weather's important here.
It's going to rain!
All right, going over to the Bucs
This is a puppy!
Going over to the Bucs side, we got Deshaun Jackson's going in as questionable with shoulder and concussion. He's now in concussion protocol. He might not start. That's going to be a game time decision. Ryan Fitzpatrick. He went up against Saints defense and put on a show. Right? I think he was one of our bosses, if I do recall. He was an honorable boss. You guys going to start that hot hand?
Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
Because I don't trust Ryan Fitzpatrick. So he's got a history, right? So there's some of these guys that come in the league, and they're younger. We don't know a lot about them. Like Matt Stafford, we know that he'll bounce back. Ryan Fitzpatrick, we know he will bounce back, and negatively. Because that Ryan Fitzpatrick, there's a reason that he's never been like a full-on starter in the NFL for years and years. Did you know that most teams that he gets signed to, the starter does get hurt?
It's a fact.
They get hurt or suspended or something. He's playing right now, and he might take Jameis's job. For now.
Well, I would say you would start him because he's facing the Eagles defense, which is a much better defense than the Saints. Yeah. But I think you can be selective with Fitzpatrick this year if he does take Jameis's job, depending on what defense he goes against. Peyton Barber, you can start him if you want, maybe in a flex spot. Hopefully he's not one of your top 3 running backs on your team.
I hope he is.
I hope he's not, because hopefully you have a better wide receiver you can start there too. But if you have to, you can go ahead and fire up Peyton Barber, but I'd rather fire up Jay Ajayi on the other side of the ball. Mike Evans had a huge week last week, but he's going up, like we said, against a better defense than the Eagles. So be wary of Ryan Fitzpatrick coming back down to earth. Mike Evans might come back down to what Mike Evans has done in the past couple of years, which is just not the numbers you expect out of the draft capital you spend on him. Ronald Jones, I wouldn't start him. And if you need a tight end to start to replace some injuries, we saw last week that O.J. Howard was a guy, not Cameron Brate. So I would go and start O.J. Howard over Cameron Brate. That's all I got for this matchup. Should be an Eagles victory.
So, question for you, Pat. You starting Peyton Barber over Isaiah Crowell?
No, I'd rather start the Crow.
What about Austin Eckler?
Now that's an interesting take. Might flip a coin there.
Oh, I think Eccles will be the better spot. What about LaShawn McCoy?
No, Peyton Barber.
What?
Against that Philly defense that is known for stopping the run?
I'm an Auburn running back lover, and I would still start LaShawn McCoy.
I can't get on the Bills train this year.
Yeah.
And I like how you say you're not starting Ronald Jones when he's probably not even going to be in pads for the game.
Wasn't last week.
He's not on the injury report.
No, he was held to scratch last week.
How's the scratch?
Let's jump into Chiefs at the Steelers. Patrick Mahomes, everybody's darling, right, from last year? Everybody's jumping on the Patrick Mahomes bandwagon.
Maybe we should just talk about it instead of jumping into it. I don't have good knees.
No, we're going to jump into this little guy because we got to jump on this wagon and slow it down on the Patrick Mahomes train.
Whew.
I mean, I like Patrick Mahomes, but half of his touchdowns last week were on a combined total of 5 yards.
Fact.
So there's going to be some regression there.
Probably.
Those are going to be some Kareem Hunt touchdowns. I think the Steelers' pass rush is pretty good. It wasn't great last week, but it's a better defense than what they showed last week in a terrible weather game that they had. So for the Chiefs, we know we're starting all our big guys, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes. You can start him if you want to, if you want to ride that hot hand, but I don't think you're going to get 4 touchdowns. It isn't going to be what it was last week. He's going to be a borderline starter this week. Now, the biggest question for everybody is Sammy Watkins.
Ugh.
Josh, I know you're like me and you bought some stock in Sammy this offseason.
I did.
How do you feel about it going against Steelers?
I think what we saw happen in the preseason just carried over into the regular season. But the thing was, he did only complete 14 passes, okay? And most of that work went to Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill had 7 catches. So half of them went to him. Only Travis Kelce only had 1, too. So we don't really know what this offense is going to be just yet. We know Tyreek Hill will be involved. We do know that.
Yeah.
But I'm still in the wait and see on Sammy Watkins. But I would say, honestly, by week 3 or 4, if I haven't seen him being involved yet, I'm probably going to get ready to dump him.
Yeah, Sammy Watkins is going to have a couple big games this year that make you want to keep him on your team. I mean, he did the same thing last year, but it's going to be so far in between, and you're not going to know when to guess it right.
Yeah, I tweeted out that he's probably the highest paid decoy of all time.
You need a decoy. When you go hunting for ducks, you need a decoy.
Just think about that. Think about that money that Tyreek Hill's going to want, though.
All right, so let's jump over to the Steelers side. James Conner getting another start. Le'Veon Bell's still not there. So starting James Conner, heck yeah, we are. Chiefs defense is bad.
Bad.
Yeah, so we're firing up all your Steelers. You can start Juju. You could probably even start their tight end. Not Jesse James. What's the other one?
Vance McDonald.
Vance McDonald. That's right. We're starting up Vance McDonald this week as a tight end streamer. Big Ben at home is a completely different person. I would not be surprised if after Big Ben retires, he shows that it's like that movie, The Prestige, and he's actually got a twin brother, and they've just been flip-flopping for home and away games.
Shut the front door. Okay.
Hot takes.
Hot takes. All right.
Steelers defense, not starting them. I think the Chiefs are going to play from behind and score some touchdowns.
Okay. All right. So next, I have the Vikings and Packers, and I'm going to start every Viking defense. Everyone not named Latavius Murray, basically. I think Latavius Murray.
Latavius Murray or Peyton Barber?
Peyton Barber. You don't need it. That's not very difficult. All right. So, yeah, but if you just to make it short and sweet, anyone not named Latavius Murray, you will start in this matchup because the Packers defense is not great, and that Viking offense is really good. So, on the Packers side of the ball, though, You're still going to start Aaron Rodgers because you drafted Aaron Rodgers, and he is Aaron Rodgers. But you do need to temper your expectations a little bit. This defense is very good. Now, as far as the running backs go, I want nothing to do with any of these running backs. Nothing to do with them. You're probably going to start Devontae Adams, even though, once again, you need to temper your expectations. He's probably going to be matched up with Xavier Rhodes the entire game. It's really important for you to understand that his production will not be great this game. I honestly think Randall Cobb is a better play.
Geronimo.
No, no, get away from Geronimo. Listen, don't even talk to me about that. And then Jimmy Graham's going to be your red zone guy. If you got Jimmy Graham, you're going to start Jimmy Graham. But like I said, this whole Packers offense, they're not going to blow up and have incredible game this week. When Aaron Rodgers was out last week, they struggled a little bit. It was until the second half when he made that miracle comeback and he did stupid Aaron Rodgers things that they started to really have some great production. But, the only people I'm going to mess with, I'll mess with Randall Cobb. I'll probably start Devontae if I have him because I drafted him really high and I might not have a better option. And then Jimmy Graham, I'm still going to start Jimmy Graham. I feel pretty good about it, too, to be honest with you.
Do you think that Aaron Rodgers is going to play?
If he plays, yes. And if he does not play, don't touch anyone from this Packers team.
That's why you need to follow the Empty Wagon on Twitter so you can get this information Sunday.
Dude,
don't be the person with Aaron Rodgers in your lineup and he's inactive.
Or even Josh Hughes FF. I was tweeting up a storm last week. I didn't want to mix our accounts because I don't want people to think that my opinions are the wagons. But, man, I was all over it on Sunday.
Yeah, you need to watch us for those actives because that will make or break you. Aaron Rodgers is still – it's questionable tag right now, right? Him and Devontae Adams both out.
He's going to play.
Is he?
He's going to play. They're saying that it was a knee sprain. It was a knee sprain. He's going to – it's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to play. Don't be scared.
Did you see his post-game interview on Sunday night after the Sunday night game?
No, I was sleeping. What do you say?
Oh, boy. It was about a 5-minute interview. I don't think that guy blinked once. I just want to know what kind of medicine they gave him in the room when he went to the locker room.
No, he said adrenaline is what got him through.
Yeah.
Well, hey.
Adrenaline and...
Adrenaline, eh? All right. Next, Pat, hit your next game up.
All right, you guys want the weather report first?
Of course.
It's going to rain.
It's not going to rain. I think the bands from Hurricane Florida are going to be gone, but it will be humid, about 93 degrees. And Tom Brady does not like playing in Florida in the heat.
Yes, sir.
But this game is Patriots versus the Jags. They're going down there. Patriots, and they're going to face the NFL's best defense.
Is this a rematch game?
It's a rematch game, I guess, yeah. The AFC Championship.
Ooh, I can't wait.
The one that New England won last year.
That's factual.
All right, injury report. I know, I saw. Injury report. Sony Michel, questionable with the knee. I think he's going to get the start. Jeremy Hill's on the IR, so if you have him, you can drop him. And Rex Burkhead, questionable with concussion.
That's big news.
It is big news.
I think that's probably the most important thing in this matchup right now is Rex Burkhead's health.
Probably because you have him on one of your teams, don't you?
No, because he's such a huge difference maker. He really is a difference maker for this offense. They already don't have Julian Edelman. Rex Burkhead is the spark right now.
Negative.
Okay.
Kenyon Barner.
They did re-sign him, or they signed him, but come on. Gross.
Anyway, I don't think Burkhead's the spark for this offense. I think Sony Michel could come in and give a spark for this offense. I think James White is just a steady back there. That's who you're starting. That's who I'm starting over Peyton Barber and Austin Eckler and Latavius Murray is James White.
Well, duh.
He is the only fully healthy New England running back, and they love to use him in the passing game and rushing. Obviously, you're starting Tom Brady. Philip Dorsett had a big game last week, but I'm not starting him this week. I look for Chris Hogan to have a good bounce-back game after his one reception for 11 yards.
Solid.
Gronkowski, you're going to start him because of the draft capital he spent on him, but he is going up against a little guy named Jalen Ramsey, who's all about shutting down Gronkowski.
You really expect Chris Hogan to have a great game?
I think he'll have a bounce-back game.
Okay.
I didn't say a great game.
Okay.
A bounce-back game is 5 receptions, 50 yards, no touchdowns. So that's 10 points in PPR.
Okay. I think that's fair.
And then Burkhead and Michelle, I do think will play, but back to talking about getting that spark, I would be careful if you're going to start Sony Michel, just because it will be his first NFL game, first NFL start against the best defense in the league.
And he does like to fumble.
Well, so does Burkhead, and he still plays.
Well, it's because he was concussed.
No, he got concussed during practice.
Okay, well, we're not going to say that, but
All right. Jacksonville Jaguars injury report. Fournette is questionable. He will play. He says it's going to be a game-time decision. He'll play.
He's not going to play.
He will. Austin Seferi-Jenkins, questionable with a core muscle injury. He will also play. Blake Bortles, don't start him. Leonard Fournette, start him. And you can start TJ Yeldon in deeper leagues because Fournette is coming off an injury. But I do think Fournette will get the start. I don't think TJ Yeldon will get you a lot of points. But again, if you need to flex and you're in a deeper league, go ahead and get TJ Yeldon. Austin Seferi-Jenkins, if he does come back and if he is healthy, we'll know probably closer to game time. Historically, has played pretty well against the New England Patriots. So, if you're looking for a tight end and he's healthy and he's starting, Austin Seferi-Jenkins. Wide receivers, best option, best wide receiver there is Keelan Cole.
Gross.
If you're going to start anyone from Jacksonville's wide receiver core, they have a lot of them. That's the only one that I could put in my starting lineup and feel good about. That's it. That's fantasy relevance for this game. That's the injury report. Anything you guys want to add?
Everybody, just like we talked about Rodgers, you need to watch, see if Fournette plays. If he doesn't, TJ Yeldon is an RB2 this week.
I completely agree with that.
With RB1 upside.
I expect this.
Fournette's playing.
I expect this to be a defensive game, and I do not expect Leonard Fournette to play.
And I think Moncrief could have a better game than Keelan Cole. I think Keelan Cole is going to draw the best coverage from the Patriots.
I'm glad you think that. I disagree.
Okay. All right. Next game. Brad the Dad, what you got?
Cardinals at the Rams. So I didn't look the weather report up, but it's in LA, so I'm going to guess that's going to be about 70 and sunny. Maybe 65. But
That's freaking awesome.
so Cardinals, right? David Johnson, he carried the offense last week, so his back's hurting him this week. A little questionable tag on him popped up yesterday.
Yeah, of course.
But we got Sam Bradford, who said he doesn't know where to go with the ball. That's what I want to hear my quarterback say. He doesn't have faith in his wide receivers. So Larry Fitz is a start. They say they want to get Christian Kirk and these other wide receivers involved.
Sam.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Sam.
What?
I said Sam.
Yeah, that was the report that came out. And I was like, oh, okay. I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
So Cardinals, you're starting DJ, you're starting Larry Fitz, and that is it. Rams side of the ball, you start the defense. Because when the quarterback doesn't know where to go with the ball, maybe he goes the wrong way.
He's done it before.
Yeah. And then let's go on to the rest of the Rams. Gurley, Brandon Cooks, Jared Goff. Another streaming quarterback option. I think he's about under 60% owned. So he's out there in a lot of waiver wires and free agency. Go pick him up if you need to start this week.
Great.
If you have a Tom Brady and you don't want to start Tom Brady this week against the Jaguars, you can start a Jared Goff this week. It's a better matchup, Pat.
I agree.
No, you start Tom Brady.
No.
Okay. At least somebody agrees with me. And then we get into Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp. I'm going Cooper Kupp this week. Patrick Peterson is not moving around anymore, and he doesn't go in the slot, and Cooper Kupp lives in the slot.
C-Cups.
That's all I got really with the Rams. I mean, it's a pretty start them if you got them.
All right, we're going to move it along now. Panthers-Falcons. We'll start with the Panthers side of the ball. Cam Newton, you're going to start him. You know why? Because he's a bad quarterback, but he's a great fantasy quarterback. You will start Cam Newton. This Falcons defense is banged up. They've already got 2 starters on IR for this year. So I'm expecting Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey to have great games. Ron Rivera just came out and said the plan is still for Christian McCaffrey to run the ball 15 to 20 times and get about 6 catches a game.
Coaches never lie.
Coaches never lie. We all know that. Now, the Panthers defense, Falcons defense, I'm not starting either one of them. I don't feel great about that. However, I do feel good about these Atlanta running backs. I think that if Devontae Freeman plays, you're going to start him, obviously, because you invested the draft capital in him, and Tevin Coleman still has his role here. So he's going to be the pass-catching guy. You're definitely going to start him in PPR. Matt Ryan, I'm not very interested in Matt Ryan yet. I think that he just still hasn't found his way in this offense yet. And he struggled last year. I don't know if it's the offense. I don't know if he just needs better coaching than what Steve Sarkisian can give him. But I'm still not starting Matt Ryan. I still don't feel good about it. And if I don't feel good about it, I'm not going to do it. As far as everyone else in this offense.
Not going to do it.
Julio Jones or Julio Jones, whichever one you want to call him. I don't think that he gets to dictate how we pronounce our J's. I think we should do that. So you're going to fire him up, obviously. Duh. Julio Jones.
If you are at a live draft and you say Julio Jones, I'm going to find out whatever player I can that's not Julio Jones and give him to you.
Don't worry about that because I would never draft Julio Jones. Never done it. Never will. All right. So that's it for my game. It's going to be in Atlanta, so they have a dome there. So just FYI, the weather should be pretty good.
Yeah, it's going to be raining outside, but I think we're going to be fine inside.
Yeah, but they can close that roof.
Okay.
Yeah, so no problem.
Are you worried about Cam at all? Cam has
No, I told you I'm going to start him.
historically played bad at Atlanta his whole career.
No, I'm going to start him. You know why? Because it's Cam friggin' Newton.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to run the ball a lot.
Wait, when I say that about Tom Brady, it's, oh my God, sir.
Well, Cam Newton's got a better matchup.
But when he says it about his Auburn boy, it's okay.
Yeah, because that wasn't my take. That was his take.
Yeah, bingo.
All right, next matchup. Let's go on to
Next game.
let's go hang out with Carrie Underwood and go to a little Sunday night, little battle of the NFC Beast. Not really. Not this year. Giants and Cowboys. So we got the Giants, right? We got a lot to do here. And he's throwing up a weather forecast to me in a dome again. Thanks,
Why are we still talking about the weather? Let's move on.
All right, so Giants. Eli Manning? Nope. Odell? Yep. Saquon? Yep. Evan Ingram? Yeah, you can fire him up too. Question I want to say is, Sterling Shepard, do we start him this week against the Cowboys? I'm worried with that Cowboys offense that looked pretty inept last week, that they're not going to put up enough points for the Giants to be just spraying the ball around. So I do get worried about Sterling Shepard this week. So if you have another option at wide receiver, I would go with it. And the Giants defense, they actually looked pretty good last week, and Dak looked pretty bad. I think you could actually, maybe if you're really hurting for a defense and there's nothing else out there, you can go with the Giants defense and hopefully get through a week. Dak looked bad. And Carolina's defense is better, but still.
It looked real bad.
And then the Cowboys, I don't know if they have a wide receiver on there that's not named Cole Beasley that you're starting. And Cole Beasley, you're only starting in PPR, and you're hoping for 7 touchdowns and 60 yards. Or 7 receptions and 60 yards. You get 7 touchdowns. Whew.
Cole Beasley's a great flex option.
Yeah. But Zeke,
Yeah.
this is going to be a bounce back game for Zeke last week. I think Jason Garrett changes play calling strategy here and gets Zeke more involved earlier, gets him up to that 20 touches. That was the third lowest touch total he's had since he's been in the NFL.
No, I don't think Jason Garrett could get a sandwich involved out of a freaking paper bag. So
No, but you know who can? Andy Reid.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't set me up for that like that. The Cowboys wide receivers, I'm not starting a single wide receiver unless maybe Cole Beasley if you really need a flex option this week. I don't trust Allen Hurns. I don't trust Michael Gallup. I don't trust Dak Prescott, to be honest with you. He looks bad. Giants are bad against tight ends, so if you want to go to the Cowboys and you want to pick one of these tight ends off their roster, you want to go with who do we want to pick from their tight ends? I'm going to close my eyes here, point to the screen, and pick Garwin. That's my tight end pick for this week for the Cowboys. He catches a touchdown.
He completely chose that at random.
Yep, Blake
There was
Garwin.
no fact behind that.
From Oklahoma State, his second year.
Okay, well, now we will go on to the very last game. It would be the Bears and Seahawks.
All right, Seahawks going into Chicago to face the Bears on Monday Night Football. It's going to be a good weather day. It's going to be about 80 degrees that night for a game time start.
Oh my gosh.
Doug Baldwin is doubtful and expect to be missing a couple weeks, so do not start him. Put him on a bench, IR spot if you got it. Seattle's defense actually has 5 starters that are questionable right now, so that's something to look at when you're looking at the Bears offense and seeing who you want to start. Start Russell Wilson. And to replace Doug Baldwin, we got Tyler Lockett, who had a pretty good game last week, and we got Brandon Marshall. If you really need wide receiver help, you can go ahead and get Brandon Marshall off the waiver wire, because in most leagues he's still out there, but Tyler Lockett's probably on a team by now, so you missed that boat. Expect Will Dissly to have some regression, and by some, I mean all. I don't see that happening again. Really hope you found a better replacement for Delaney Walker and didn't just fall into that trap of, oh, wow, he did this last week, so start him up. Please don't. Please find someone else. Chris Carson, Rashard Penny. Those are your backs in the Seattle's offense, and it looks like Rashard Penny is the guy.
What?
Did you have something to add over there, Josh?
Well, yeah, he ran the ball 8 times for 9 yards last week.
Yes, but Pete Carroll said that Chris Carson ran away with the job. And if we know one thing about Pete Carroll,
He's a
is
liar.
that he's going to lie. So obviously, Rashad Penny's probably going to get the most of the word.
They said that he just looked rusty. Chris Carson's a better back right now.
I think it's kind of a Denver situation, a mirror of that. You got Lindsey, but you also have Royce Freeman. You got Carson, but you also have Penny. You know Penny's eventually going to be the guy, even if Carson's the guy this week. Also, I think the Seahawks are going to be playing from behind, and I think Rashard Penny is better catching balls out of the backfield than Carson is.
He sucks at pass protection.
Well, he's not pass protecting, he's catching them.
The Bears have this guy. I don't know if you ever heard of him. It's called Khalil Mack. They're going to need all the pass protection they can get.
Their pass protection is Russell Wilson running away from him. Also, just a side note, Pete Carroll said they're going to move CJ Prosise to wide receiver. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, well, when he gets hurt, then it won't matter.
And Pete Carroll lies.
Anyway, over to the Bears side of things, no notables on the injury report, so that's a good sign for you Bears fan out there. Mitchell Trubisky, good streaming option. I like him better than a lot of other streaming options out there. You're going to start Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen in deeper leagues. You can start Trey Burton. You'll probably start because you spent a higher draft capital than you probably should have on Trey Burton. But
Totally going to start him.
yeah, Seattle has this guy called Earl Thomas who's going to shut him down. And then you got Allen Robinson, and Taylor Gabriel actually had a pretty good game last week against Green Bay. So he's a good flex option right there. I'd keep him on your radar.
Maybe.
And then going a little deeper is the rookie Anthony Miller. But really, Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, the only 2 wide receivers I want to take on Chicago's offense. That is your Monday Night Football breakdown. That's all I got to say about that game. Anything you guys want to add?
That's all I got to say about that.
No, I think you hit it on the head. I just think Russell Wilson might not have a great game. Last week he had a really good game, but typically he starts off pretty slow in the season and comes on really strong towards the end.
So strong.
And that offensive line is still a little suspect. We saw last week that the Bears pass rush is pretty good, even with Khalil Mack, who had not practiced with the team but like a handful of times. So
He's a pretty good player.
with a full week of practice, preparing,
He's
a rough
okay.
day for Russell Wilson back there.
He's okay. I think he's just going to get some more rushing yards. That's what I think.
Just has to run away from him. That's all.
That's all he's got to do. And we know that. He's good at running for his life because he's had to do it for like the past 5 years. And
Can't run away if your knee's jacked up.
He'll be fine. Anyway.
I think that just about wraps up our Week 2 preview. And we can go ahead and send you guys on your way to the weekend, and hopefully you get some fantasy football wins. And thanks again for listening to the... All right, thanks again for listening to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. Hopefully you got all the information you needed to go into Week 2 and get that W. Hopefully bring your team to 1-1 or hopefully 2-0. Follow us on Twitter at EmptyWagonFF if you want to get any updates from the guys during the week. Good luck this week, and we will see you again on Monday.
Empty Wagon Podcast, undefeated in our podcast league.
Boom.